Hey, everybody, welcome to Write With Us. I am Micah Craddy, as it says below, the head of writing at Arc Studio and Butterdocs. I realized like my screen's inverted, so I have to pretend like I'm looking at the other screen. Anyways, I'm Micah Craddy. I'm the head of writing at Arc Studio and Butterdocs. Arc Studio, of course, is the app for writing your scripts, and Butterdocs is the app for writing everything else. Before we get into it today, I want to know, where are you and what are you writing today? Get in the chat, let me know. And then we have our discussion question, our writer question of the week to sort of get us going, get us in the mood to write. And today's question is, do you work on multiple writing projects at once? So do you just have one that you stick to completely all your focus, or do you like to have multiple projects going at the same time? And why? Let me know. Get in the chat and I'll answer those questions in just a moment. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications. And, like it if you want. That's up to you, really. I'm not going to pressure you. This is a low pressure environment. I feel like writing creativity suffers in high pressure. So if you want to. All right. So if this is your first time here and you're wondering, like, what is this? Well, first off, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. So this is Write With Us. We do 3 writing sprints, and in between we chat a little bit. So we do a 15-minute writing sprint, then we take a little break, and then we do a 25-minute writing sprint, then take a little break. And then at the end, we either do a 25 or 30-minute, kind of depending on timing and how much chatting and discussion we're doing today. So during the writing sprints, I'll put a timer up on the screen. It'll play some music, and you just write whatever it is you came here to write. And in between, in the breaks, we'll chat a little bit about writing, and I'll answer any writing questions you may have. You can put them in the chat. And it's generally a pretty good time. And then during the second break, I will show the sandwich of the week, which is pretty explanatory. It's just the sandwich of the week. I love seeing everyone in the chat. So many familiar names. Awesome to be here. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so let me answer these 3 questions myself. All right, so where am I and what am I writing today? I'm in LA. And I'm actually writing something different today, which is exciting. For a while now, I've been working on a rewrite of a feature, but I finished that, which is exciting, and sent that to my manager and kind of waiting for his feedback. So today I'm actually working on another project. It's a pilot that I've had in a drawer for a while. I've sort of like let it simmer because I wasn't really sure what to do with it. And now I sort of know. So I'm going to be working on a revision of a pilot. And that kind of brings us to the discussion question of today of like working on multiple projects at once. And like, that can mean a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean like you're splitting time equally between multiple projects. But I like to generally have my like main project, call that like my A project, which gets 80 to 90% of my focus, kind of depending where I am. But then I like having like a secondary project or like a B project. I'm going to use A and B because you have like your A story and your B story in your script. So I have my A project and my B project. And the B project is nice because sometimes with your A project, there's some downtime. You want to step away from it for a while, or you're waiting for feedback, like from your representations or producers or writers group or friends or whomever. And you have some extra time. So it's nice to have another project you can keep going. So I generally do that. And then, you finish the A project and your B project becomes my A project, etc. And then I also kind of like, just occasionally will take in like, I don't know, an hour or so or an afternoon or 20 minutes, whatever it is, and just kind of like free write on some new ideas, So I always feel like I have like one main idea, one main project, kind of a secondary project, and then like, 2 to 6 just other things that are just like, some of them might just be like a single, a sentence or 2. It's not like developed, but it's always good, I feel like, to have those things there. One, so you have more things to write when you finish your current projects. But it's also like, I like having these kind of like half-formed little projects or like backups. So in case an opportunity arises, you can sort of like quickly take one of those like half-formed things and work on it a little bit and turn it into something that is presentable. So yeah, that's kind of how I like to approach it. Obviously, this depends on how much time you have. If you're working 40 to 50 hours a week on another job and you're supporting your family or whatever, you don't have that much time to be working on these projects. And so you need to kind of use your time strategically. If you have, a certain amount of time that you can work, then like focusing on one project until you get it done is a fantastic way to go. But oh my gosh, loving everyone in the chat. Elia, Seba, Nish in West LA, welcome. Heather in Carrollton, Texas. Charles in Denver. Corey in Ontario, working on a 2-hour feature about a veteran who becomes a hitman for the mob. Okay, a little Barry in there. Nick from Australia and Hobart, Australia. That's exciting. Kimberly in LA. Heather's working on, she has multiple projects going, a pilot and a feature. Yeah, that's another thing about having multiple projects is you can kind of like scratch different itches. I know a lot of people, we have people who write different things. We have people who write scripts and novels, short stories, and sometimes it is nice to essays, poetry, whatever, like, I don't know, if you're feeling a different way to have a different kind of project going. Paula in Northern Virginia. Niche says he's got a couple of scripts going at once, editing and writing a new one. Yeah, that's another thing. You can be in different parts of the process. Like you may be kind of like brainstorming, free writing, collecting ideas on one and revising another. And those kind of use different parts of your brain. So those kind of tend to go well together. Elia, writing from Italy, tonight planning a new story. Always work on multiple projects. I wish I could focus on one at a time, but it's in my blood, so I learned to accept it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that you're kind of hinting at something here, which is the risk of multiple projects, which is the lack of focus, or like, the grass is always greener on the other side. You're like, have a project and you can abandon it and jump to another project. And if you are working on multiple projects, I wouldn't actually suggest doing that unless you can remain focused on, on your main projects and keep making progress. Because, the deeper you go into a project, the harder it gets often, right? There's that initial time. I don't know what this graph would be like, but there's like an initial time where it's kind of fun, and then it gets harder, and then it gets easier and harder again. But like when you get to those sections where it gets harder and you're like, well, I have this other thing here that's still kind of in the just like fun, anything is possible stage, it can be tempting to like abandon the hard thing. So you do need to remain committing. Dexter Films working on a 10-minute short. Awesome. Teji from San Jose, welcome back. Denise in Nashville, welcome back. Working on this one project, fantastic. Let's see, Josh saying, when I'm drafting, I stick to one project. If I'm close within weeks of finishing a draft, I'll start outlining the next project. Yeah, teeing up the next one up. That makes sense. Craig in St. Louis. I don't work on multiple projects at once, mostly because I'm hyper-focused on finishing my first novel. I'm also kind of afraid if I stop working on it, I won't come back to it maybe. But after I finish my novel and check off that old bucket list, maybe I'll be more interested in juggling projects. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong. It's always funny when there's these long responses because I feel like I'm like hiding behind Craig's answer. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like everyone has their own writing style. This is one of the reasons why I love asking these questions and getting responses. It's just like seeing everyone's different approach. Like Kelly here prefers working on one project at a time, but I'm to work on two now, a drama and a comedy pilot. Very hard to switch between the two. That can be hard if you're working on them, especially if they're totally very different. Like if you're working on something that's like very heavy themes, very like difficult subject matter, and then like another lighter project, it's interesting because sometimes like having that can be nice because then the lighter project is like a respite from the heavier thing. But then sometimes it can be just very difficult to switch your brain back. Jeff in New York, working on rewrites of a Christmas comedy and started a political thriller. There we go. Very different projects going on at the same time. Neil Patel, welcome. Rewriting my action drama pilot script in my time in South Africa, fixing photocopy machines. Oh, cool. Awesome. Welcome, Neil. All right. Seba's got a formatting question. I'll come to that later, maybe. Corey saying kind of hard to stick to one problem. My head is constantly generating new ideas. Yeah, that's a little bit what I was talking about. Like the coming up with new ideas is just pure fun. It's like pure candy, right? Because it's just it could be anything. It could be there's no issues yet. You're still on that pure phase of like anything is possible, and it can be a little bit of a trap because I totally get what you're saying because it's like, hey, why deal with the hard thing when you could just keep doing this fun, nice thing? But in the long run, that's where that comes back to bite you because, time passes and then you don't have anything done, right? So that's why, getting scripts done, we always talk about vomit drafts, just getting something on the page, reworking it, making progress, because it's so easy to like look back after a year, 2 years, 3 years and be like, wait, did I actually write anything? And that's, I don't know, I feel like that's in all aspects of your life. Like you just sort of like get things done and move it forward. But I totally get what you're saying. Tessie's working on multiple projects, a novel proposal, and and then plotting your current work in progress to the rest of the session. So yeah, again, I think this guy's into the thing where if you have things on different stages of work, it can help. See, Darissa in Montreal, working on a new short film inspired from Storyline Ugly Betty. Cool. I like to alternate between a few different projects so I can take a break and clear my head. Yeah, totally. I feel you on that. Anna, welcome back from Oakland via London, working on some edits. Fantastic. Lily, just stopping by to say, hey, can't join today. Hope all on safe travels. Thank you, Lily. Appreciate that. Kelly in San Rafael, NorCal. Josh is saying, keeping an ongoing document dedicated to log lines help keeping ideas alive when you're not actively working on them. Totally. I do something like that. I'll have like a note, or like I have a off screen right here. I have just like an index card where I've written ideas to come back to. And then I'll keep lots of notes, and I'll go back occasionally and look through all my notes kind of in my notes app and be like, collate up a few of them. So like I'll have something similar like that, a document that's just got different projects that maybe I'll come back to next. And interesting, sometimes like you can work on one of those new projects, or sometimes like something I had recently where like I took one thing from one of the projects and then added it to another project sort of, and combined a couple ideas, and they find well. So having multiple ideas is there is due. Rad City, one project focus, fantastic. Revising your pilot. Seba's in Germany, great. Steve, welcome back, NYC. Working on book 2 of your trilogy and making improvements to book 1. So I guess you are in the corresponding screenplays. So it's sort of weird because you are and you aren't multitasking because you're doing multiple things, but they all sort of in the same world. That's great. This is a good question. Does ArcStudio have a playwriting feature? So not built in, but if you go into the settings, you can create custom elements. So you can basically build your own playwriting structure in the elements settings by creating new elements in the ArcStudio settings. So yeah, you can build that yourself. Paula's working on a few projects, fun to bounce around, totally. Man, there's a lot of just love the chat today. People are very active. Kimberly's working on 2. Trying to focus on one, so I'm not avoiding problem solving. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like if you bounce back to the other project every time, then things get hard. Then you don't make any progress. Amy, finished first draft, your first screenplay. Congratulations. I'm going to get like round of applause for Amy. That's fantastic. After letting it cold, I'm now reading it over and editing. Yeah, that's good. It's good to step away and like come at it with fresh eyes. Fantastic. Michael in LA working on a Christian Superhuman pilot. Welcome, Michael. Let's see here. Ooh, Dex, that's a good question. I'll come back to that later. Ayana in LA working on a feature that's a modern retelling of Cinderella. Ooh, that's fun. Classic. And Ashford in Canada focusing on Show Bible. Josh, I love when ideas fuse together. It helps the act 2 right out. Fantastic. Great. Yeah. And check out the playwriting. All right, guys. Well, really fun discussion getting going. I think we should hop into it and get the 15-minute sprint, and then we can come back and I can answer some of those questions that were in the chat. And if you have any other writing questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll chat about them in the next break. But now we should do, I think, what we've come here to do. We should write. I hope it's not too hot wherever you guys are. LA has been okay this summer, but like the heat wave has finally found us. So like it's getting hot now and it's going to be in the hundreds like the next 4 days. So that's why my lights are a little low today. I'm just trying to like think cool thoughts, and I've got the microphone because like the AC is blasting. So hopefully you can see me and hear me. But yeah, just doing what we can to stay cool. All right, guys. We are going to now, like I said, 15-minute writing sprint. So this is the chill one. The music is very chill. I like to think of it as the intro, getting us into that creative zone. So pull up your document, whatever it is you're working on. Oftentimes I like to start by reading back kind of what I was writing before, figuring out where I was, kind of what problems I was dealing with or what I was planning on doing next. And really just kind of like getting my head in that headspace. So let's do that. Let's get in our headspace, 15 minutes on the clock, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, that was the 15-minute sprint, the chillest, the most spa-like of all the sprints. How are we doing today, guys? Are the muses with us? Are we feeling the words flow from our brains through our fingertips? Feeling okay to be. I'm kind of reading back over some stuff, just doing like minor tweaks, line changes, kind of like working on pacing and stuff. So nothing like too in depth yet, but it feels good to just kind of like get. Sometimes rewriting and going over your work can be helpful. So let me know how it's going for you, the writing today. Let's see here. Seb was going back the chat, working on a project with different genres, some psychological thriller, horror, bit of sci-fi. Second project is a comedy. Yeah, definitely. It's be great to have that thing. And you know, sometimes having multiple different tones is great. Heather's actually saying it's cool in Texas, which I don't believe. What's the temperature in Texas? I refuse to believe that Texas is cooler than California. In my mind, it's always way too hot or way too cold in Texas. So here, Roman and Rollins works on multiple projects. So if you're wondering what this is, our question today, discussion question was, do you work on multiple writing projects at once? Roman project saying he does work on multiple projects. Final edits of my holiday rom-com book, then a production meeting for a short movie I'm filming this month. And today my writer's work that I created arrived in the mail. Congrats on that. Awesome. Lots of projects going. Raw Rated Productions just finished a screenplay that was submitted to Lifetime. Awesome. Congratulations. Good luck. Let's see here. Darissa saying the muses are not with me today, sadly. They're not with you yet, Darissa, but like we still have time. Maybe they'll show up. Nisha saying the sprints are working well. Kelly has the muses. Heather says it's 80s. All right. Well, I'll take it. Fine. I accept that. Awesome. Main dance, first time here. Funny how nice it is to feel the energy of other folks riding with me. Yeah, I mean, we're all in different places. I guess some of us are in the similar cities or countries. But there's like a little bit of a common purpose. And I don't know, it's like, I'm also on camera for me, so that helps keep me focused. But like, it is just like, yeah, we're here for a reason. You know, we're all here for a common goal, and having a common goal can be so powerful, I think. Denise, reviewing has opened up some voices. So interested in who comes the next sprint. Yeah, 15-minute. I feel like the 15-minute sprint is just here to like set up the 25-minute sprints. Anna says she likes to work on a few things at once, different styles, which I work on depending on my mood, some light, some more thoughtful. Fantastic. I didn't know you wrote a part of Better Call Saul of that show. Okay, so it's technically, I was not a staffed writer on Better Call Saul. I was the script coordinator. So I actually did, so I didn't write scripts, although I did have some stuff make it weirdly into the show. So like some of that ancillary stuff. So it's like if Saul Goodman, I was working on season 1, was like writing on his notepad or something, I would like sometimes write what his notepad would be, because like the props have to have something to write. The most lasting contribution I made, so there's an ongoing storyline about like a lawsuit against a retirement home in Better Call Saul called Sandpiper Crossing. And like I came up with that name. So like they basically told me to like come up with 10 names for retirement homes in New Mexico, and I came up with a bunch, and they chose that one. So yeah, I also got to do other cool stuff. I wrote like casting sides. So like they're very spoiler phobic. So if they're casting a part, you know, generally you just give an actor like, or a bunch of actors, the scene that you want them to do, and they'll do it in an audition. But because Better Call Saul didn't want any spoilers, they wanted to do fake scenes. So I got to write a bunch of like fake casting scenes where I take like the real scene and like adapt it into something else, which was really fun. So that was, yeah, as far as assistant jobs go, that was fantastic. Dawn here from Nigeria, where I got family drama based on personal experiences, so trying to shovel all the dirt in for now. Yeah, awesome, fantastic. I hope the juice comes. It's all about the juice. I think you're gonna get a little bit done. I feel it. I feel positive. I always wondered whose job it was to write text and stuff that the characters wrote. Yeah, so it's funny because this didn't used to be a thing that was as big of a deal in the days of film, because you couldn't really read as much. But now, like in the age of like everyone has high def television and high def cameras and everything, it's like super fans will pause and be like, what's on that, you know, looking for clues and stuff. And like if something's on screen for like a moment, they'll be like, what is that? So you actually have to like have something real there, which is really fun. A couple of questions we can go back to. Siba was asking, how do I write if a cut has to happen while a person is talking? For example, a perfect person is talking about a specific thing, and this thing shows up. This thing shows while the person is saying the name of the thing. All right, so you'd have their dialogue, like character, like I'll just say it's Siba or Seba. I'm gonna say Seba. It'd be Seba. You know, I went to blah blah blah. I saw the thing, and then you would basically cut to that thing, use the description to say what we're seeing, and then for Seba, put VO, voiceover. So that basically means voiceover means this is what we're hearing as we're seeing this other thing. So you'd cut to another scene, whatever it is that you're showing, and then put your character's name with VO next to it in parentheses. And in your screenwriting software like Arc Studio will have that automatically. You'll hit parenthesis V, and it'll pop up and do voiceover. Dexter, what screenplay would you say has helped you the most? For me, that would be Pulp Fiction. That's interesting. This kind of goes back. So this is something I mentioned, I think, last week when I was working on Better Call Saul. Part of the job of a script coordinator is continuity, right? And so since like Breaking Bad had already happened, we had already these like all these things established in the world of Breaking Bad. So like when I first, like my first couple of weeks on the show, my job was basically I read every Breaking Bad script. So all 7 or 8 seasons of them, I read all the scripts. And that was like very influential, I feel like, in how I just write, you know, like in scenes, you know. Yeah, so that was probably Breaking Bad scripts were the most, and I also like had focused more on television and recently been doing more film. Charles, as a novice, when should I just close out the beat sheet treatment and just focus on the screenplay? The characters keep revealing new things about themselves. Honestly, it probably feels like if you're asking the question, you should. If you get, I feel like this is kind of the hint for me. If you get to the point where like you feel like I should be doing the script, I'm just going to go back and do more outline work, then you probably should be reading the script, because that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about focusing on the easier thing, that oftentimes the outline can feel easier, but then once you're actually trying to like write the scene and like figure out where everybody is and like what are opening images and like what POV, like all that hard stuff. It's like when you're outlining, the outlining feels hard. And then after a while, you're like, I need to write the script. But now the script feels hard and the outline feels easy. So I would say If you just feel like you're stalling because like the script's just hard, then that's probably a good clue that you should be writing the script. And also, like, outlining is really dependent on the writer. Like, some people do very, very detailed, what you almost call a scriptment. So you might have heard of a treatment, and you might have heard of a script. And sometimes people will write scriptments, which are like super, super, super detailed outline. And other people just basically do like little bullet points. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So really it kind of depends on who you are. Awesome. Great, Britt. Oh, you had to take off. Well, thank you for coming. This is super useful as a platform. Write scripts for my voiceover character creations, ideas, then voice. Fantastic. Well, Britt voice, Luis. I'm assuming Luis is your name. That's great. I'm so glad you're here. Craig G. My wife's best friend has worked as a script supervisor in Hollywood for years. I think our most favorite project was Between Two Ferns movie that came out on Netflix. That's so cool. So just a little industry thing though. This is a very common mistake that script coordinator and script supervisor get confused. A script supervisor is an on-set position. So the script supervisor is on set, generally like right next to the director with the script in hand. And they're just kind of like making sure that like everything is working with the script. They're like in charge of the script on set. The script coordinator is in charge of the script in the writer's room. So the script coordinator is the one who puts out the new revisions, makes the changes, like sends out the new drafts, and makes sure that the scripts are all sort of, in shape, and the continuity is good. But like even really experienced writers in Hollywood get those confused. And people don't really know what the script coordinator does, which is like an ongoing joke with script coordinators, is that like no one knows what script coordinators do. Nicholas works on multiple projects, which can be hard sometimes, but I write shorts for myself and two close friends in between, throwing plot points at them and trusting their human synergy to fill up the gaps. That's great. I love that. Having like just a sort of a creative outlet like that and a collaborative thing can be so helpful. Oh, how did I get to work on Better Call Saul? Yeah, so I got a job on Better Call Saul the way most people in Hollywood get work on anything, which is that someone passed my stuff on to someone else. So as a writer, you want someone to pass your script on to someone else. As an assistant, someone's passing your resume. So basically, I was working as a PA on a sitcom, and my boss on that, one of her former PAs was now an assistant, had gone on to become Gilligan's assistant on Breaking Bad. So when Breaking Bad ended and they were starting Better Call Saul, they were looking for new assistants, and she reached out to my boss, and my boss passed a couple resumes over, and I interviewed. So basically the way it works is you get an initial job and you do well. Make your boss like you. Do a really good job. Make your superiors' lives easier. Work really hard. And then they pass your resume on to other people and give you a recommendation. And so that's how it happened. Yeah, Craig was talking about script supervisors. So script supervisor members of the Directors Guild and although script coordinators aren't actually in the Writers Guild, it's kind of an ongoing point of contention. But script coordinators and writers' assistants did unionize a few years back under IATSE, which is more like the craft union, like Set Deck and lots of stuff like that. So there's a lot of different unions. There we go. Great, cool. All right, well, that's fun. Doing a little industry chat. This is always fun. A little behind the scenes action. But I don't know. I feel like we should keep writing because the vibes are good, and that's what we're here to do. So I think we should do the 25-minute writing sprint. Any more questions? Drop them in the chat. We'll have another break to go through that. But let me just check if there's anything else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, just a reminder, and I'll say this again later. There's no Write With Us next week. I'm traveling the next 2 weeks, so it'll be a little break. I'll send an email, announcement out when we come back. But yeah, so I encourage you to write on your own, organize your own thing, whatever, or just you, and play some music wherever you are. You could even find a countdown clock and do your own little thing. But this event will not be happening, and then we'll come back stronger than ever. Okay, so here we go. 25 minutes on the clock. Music gets a little funky. The writing gets groovy as well. And I'm going to Europe, Germany and France. So that should be great. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, guys. But now, no more delays. Here comes the writing. 25 minutes on the clock. Let's do it. All right, guys, that is the end of the 25-minute sprint. Did the muses show up for those who were waiting? And did they abandon those who they had previously visited? Let me know in the chat how it's going. What are you dealing with today? What's hard? Do you have any questions? Do you want to hear any thoughts on anything? Whatever. Let me know in the chat. So I did promise to show the sandwich of the week as well. So here we go. Drum roll, please. The sandwich of the week is this beauty here, which I'm keeping the ciabatta rolling. I don't know. Love this photo. It's just a very different perspective. I didn't slice the sandwich in half this time, which just sort of gives us this, like, I don't know, you can just really feel like the bread structure. Like, this is beautiful. And I just love the thought of someone having this giant sandwich photo like in their living room or something. So I pretty excited about this one. Yeah, ciabatta, usual ingredients like turkey, sun-dried tomatoes, avocado, and everything like that. But just like the air gaps in the bread, I feel like are really featured. So there we go. This is the sandwich of the week. And Elia is always supportive of the sandwiches. Yeah, so ciabatta, turkey, greens, sun-dried tomato, pickle, mayo, like Dijon mustard, not Dijon mustard, the stone ground mustard, and everything there. Great, there we go. Anna's feeling it. Hungry, yeah, almost like let your hunger be, let it fuel your writing, not your apt here. Dress is saying, the muses are still not here. I feel like my ideas are too vague to form a real story. Do you have any advice to overcome that? Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, get specific. I mean, that's a cop-out answer to say if it's too vague, get specific. But give someone something practical that they want, right? So your character will have like psychology, right? They'll have needs, they'll have wants, they'll have this thing we talk about called the internal goal, which is like the thing inside of them that they really need. But that can all be a little abstract. What you need to do is find like something in the world of the character, something real that's a real problem, right? They either need to solve a problem or go after something. You know, they're either trying not to lose something or they're trying to gain something. Give them something concrete to deal with, and explore the emotional and psychological underpinnings, those elements, through the very concrete story thing that they're dealing with. Question from Amy here. Is it worth it to ask non-writer friends and family to read first draft? Okay, so the quality of the notes is going to be dependent on the quality of the readers. So if someone is a non-writer, or, you know, not just a writer, but like someone who like understands screenwriting and the industry and something like that, then yeah, you're going to get limited feedback from them. I will say, however, that one thing you can do is don't just give them the script and say, what do you think about it? Because they'll be like, that's so cool, you wrote a movie, you know, or something like that. If you want to get feedback from people who are sort of non-experts, you need to be very specific. Give them a list of questions. What didn't you understand? What did you like about it? Like, ask about the characters. Were there times you felt more into the story and excited to read? Or were there times where you felt your interest was waning, you know? Things like that. You have to be very specific. In other words, you need to do part of the work for them. Because if you give it to a writer, they know kind of what they're supposed to be looking for. If you give it to a non-writer, they don't know what they're supposed to be looking for. They're just kind of excited that you wrote something. So if you do ask them, try to help them be very specific in what you want them to tell you. Tessie is honestly shocked by how well their writing is going. It happened to me last week. We were doing the 15-minute writing sprint, and it's like, usually I don't do very well, but like just instantly I was in it, and I was just like, the words were just pouring down the page, and I was just like, okay, which is pretty fun. Steve was doing some math stuff first, but now switching over to the creative brain, right brain to left brain, or no, left brain to right brain, right brain's the creative side, I think. Which again, I feel like the images swap you guys. So I point to the wrong side of my head. And then just going back to the sandwich photo, love the textures. Muses are here for the main character, fantastic. Muses are with Ashford, fixing some details. And then, Darissa, yes, right. You were asking about the vagueness. Yeah, so try that. All right, guys. Dexter, just really quick, could you tell us about Lodge 49? Sure. So after I worked on Better Call Saul, not Breaking Bad. I didn't work on Breaking Bad. I worked on Better Call Saul. I worked on Lodge 49, and I was a writer's assistant and script coordinator on the first season, which had a really weird, long development process. So that actually, like, that first season took like off and on like two years or more to make, like a long time. And then, obviously I'm writing my own stuff the whole time. And I was really fortunate to be on that show where the showrunner, Peter Acco, who's done an event with us before and is going to do another event with us, a very experienced TV writer, a friend and mentor and former boss of mine. There was a day where I was pitching something in the room and I just had when I was an assistant still, and he just had a really good day. And I was just really helping contribute to the show. And he called me into his office and he said, you had the pitch of the day. You did a great job. He said, if we get a second season, you're going to be staffed as a writer on the show, get promoted. And we got a second season and I got promoted. So that's how I got staffed on Lodge 49. And it was just like a really beautiful show. And it's really interesting because like Better Call Saul is also a wonderful show, but just very different. It's run very different. The tone's very different. Just like the writer, like the rooms run very differently. It's interesting that I've been fortunate to work on like different rooms and see different shows and kind of pick up things from different places. And yeah, people have very different personalities. It kind of depends on whoever like the main creative voice is. And like, so, on Better Call Saul first season, it was like Vince Gilligan. On Lodge 49, it was the creator Jim Gavin, who's more of a short story writer. So his approach to writing was very different. It wasn't, like Vince Gilligan had worked in TV for years. He worked on X-Files. So like, he just like he had a very like specific approach. And then it was a very different on Lodge 49. It was more almost like a fiction writing kind of approach. So it's really cool, to like work on different things. And then unfortunately, Lodge 49 is a beautiful show. It had a very passionate fan base, but it was a very small fan base. So yeah, unfortunately, we only had 2 seasons. But I think they're online if you want to check them out somewhere. I think they're there's like on AMC Plus. I know they're like AMC streaming. But you might also be able to rent them on like Apple or Amazon or things like that. So that was Lodge 49, and it was a really wonderful experience. We had a ping pong table in the writers' room, and I played so much ping pong. We did work too, but like during lunch and stuff, and like before and after work, I would just like get sweaty, just like playing ping pong. Which I'm going to turn this into a piece of advice, actually, not just randomly monologuing. But I think that is helpful. If you have a like another thing to do, like people like to draw, like play music, take a walk, anything kind of physical, any kind of like activity, like ping pong is like very meditative. It's like tick, 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 tick. There's like a rhythm to it, and you can kind of like let your brain step back from the current problem, right? So if you're working on a writing problem, if you go off and you do something else, it allows your brain to sort of detach from whatever the problem is, and under a low pressure, just kind of see it differently. So that's why screenwriters and all writers should play ping pong. No, but that's why you should have like something else that you can do to kind of step back away from it. It's great. Jamila is saying that good evening from Ghana. One of your films that you wrote titled Censors getting premiered tomorrow. Oh, congratulations. That's awesome. Way to go. Oh man, that's got to feel so great. I hope the premiere goes well. I hope it is received well, and that continues to propel your career forward. All right, guys. So I think I want to do another 25-minute writing sprint, mainly because I like the music in that 25-minute sprint, the kind of funky music. And it's already like 2:17. So we are going to now do the last writing sprint. Just a reminder, if you joined late, there is no Write With Us next couple weeks because I'm going to be traveling. I'll send out an email announcement once we're back. But yeah, just so you know, we won't be here next week. If you go to YouTube and you're like, where is it? Not here. So with that now, yeah, we're going to do the 25-minute sprint again. If you have to leave, thank you so much for coming. Again, no worries. Come when you want, leave when you want. Love people dropping in just to say hello, even if they can't write. That's awesome. I love the communities forming. Some of these names here: Jamila, Ashford, Darissa, Nish, Steve, Teji. All these people I've see, and I feel like I know you guys, which is exciting. So anyway, so that is to say, even though we're taking a break, hopefully when we're back in a few weeks, everyone is back and we continue to grow. Anyways, yeah, if you have to take off, please let me know in the chat how it went, what you got done today. Say farewell. And thank you for coming. And yeah, if you want to stick around till the very end, I will say our final farewells then. But for now, I'm just going to do this 25-minute sprint again. You know what? No, I'm going to do the 30-minute sprint. Just switch up the music. Sorry. I'm just pulling an audible there. 30-minute sprint. And yeah, if you have to leave, you have to leave. And yeah, but thanks for coming, guys. All right, here we go. 30 minutes. All right, everybody. And that brings us to the end of the September 4th Write With Us. Thank you all so much for being here, and props to everyone who stuck it out through the end. I hope you got some excellent writing done and had a good time, maybe learned something and enjoyed the community of fellow writers. Just as a reminder, no Write With Us the next couple weeks. I'll be traveling, and I'll send out some announcement emails, when we're ready to meet next. So again, thanks everyone for being here. Such a great time. Such a wonderful energy today. Yeah, please keep writing, and remember, to be kind to yourselves. And until next time, happy writing, everybody. Farewell.